Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. I do want to thank those of you that are here on time. And my name is Dr. Christina Luna. I'm a faculty member in educational leadership in K-12 in the master's, and also a core member of the doctoral program in educational leadership. Again, just to remind you to turn off your phones, make sure you stay on mute. And then if you're having connectivity problems or it starts to get fuzzy for you, you can also turn off your video, which most of us will do, but not Laura and Chrystle. You'll have to stay on so that we can see you. Once again, I do want to thank you. This is Strand 3, Equity in Middle and High Schools. We have 15 minutes for our presentations, and then if anybody has any questions, if you can please put them in the chat and we will get to them when the presentations conclude. So our first presenter, thank you, is Ms. Chrystle Munoz. And the title of her program is An Evaluation of Middle School's Behavior Prevention Program. So thank you, Chrystle. It's all yours.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to switch into present mode on my screen here. And let's see if this will get going. There we go. And so, yes, so my master's project was an evaluation of an urban middle school's behavior prevention program. I was from the Master of Arts degree, or I just received my Master of Arts degree in Educational Leadership and Administration. I work in Washington Unified School District, and currently I'm at American Union Elementary School. First off, I want to dedicate all this hard work, all this time to my very loving and supportive husband, Donnie, and as my son refers to himself, the best son ever, Donald. So I'm very thankful for them. It was a journey and it took a full family support to get us through it, especially with COVID and everything. So this is all dedicated to them. I just want to acknowledge those that have made the difference in getting this done. Of course, my Lord and Savior, because without him, I would not have made it through this when it was very difficult and making the switch from in-person learning to virtual learning. And so I owe him all the glory. My family, of course, all their support, extended family, my colleague and fellow student, and we happen to be in the same room, Laura Silva. She and I spent many nights working on work till wee hours, and she was a huge support in me getting this work done. And so I thank her, my classmates, my advisor, Dr. Jessica Hannigan, and all the many instructors at Fresno State. I couldn't have got it done without you guys. So you might be asking, why did I choose to focus on behavior? Well, I did because I felt like this was the area I could grow the most in. I felt very comfortable in academics as a teacher, but I wanted to know more about what happens with behavior, especially when they go beyond your classroom. I was working in urban middle school that struggled with this very category. And so I really wanted to dive into it to learn more. And I was questioning what was working. Was what we were working at my school on, was that actually producing results? So I chose that. One of the programs at the school I was working with when I chose this project was using a behavior prevention program called Time to Teach. And that program is just that, it's a behavior prevention plan. So I jumped right into my project and didn't look back because, hey, you got to get it done. So let's go into the problem. So school safety and discipline are often seen as priorities in American public schools and contribute to student academic success. In an effort to improve school safety, schools are increasing their efforts around student discipline through the use of error corrections, timeouts, office disciplinary referrals, also known as ODRs, in and out of school suspension, and ultimately expulsion. While school safety is vital to the business of education, schools may be addressing the challenges in the wrong way by focusing on consequences and exclusionary practices rather than student learning from their behavior issues. These exclusionary practices are of concern to all stakeholders as they remove our students from the academic classroom and therefore can lead to a series of problems, including poor academic engagement and achievement, increased student dropout rates, and future incarceration. Balfons, Burns, and Fox found that one suspension for a 9th grade student increased their risk of dropping out of school by 32%, whereas being suspended twice increased their risk to 42%. When students are disciplined in this manner, it's often those of color who are poor and or have special needs that are disciplined more harshly. and are overrepresented in these exclusionary practices. Similarly, Zerk found that students who drop out of school due to expulsion earn significantly less, commit more crime, and have more adult arrests than those who drop out for other reasons like taking care of the family. Now, many schools have turned their focus to behavior prevention programs like Positive Behavior Interventions and Support, PBIS, or Teach Choose, as a strategy from Time to Teach program to help teach students clear and consistent behavior expectations for school-wide classroom behaviors. Programs such as these are designed to teach students the expected behavior students understand the common language and what is consistently expected from them from classroom to classroom. So here's the problem statement. The problem lies in that there is little research on programs outside of PBIS that deter negative behavior in classrooms and provide teachers with instruction on how to teach the behaviors we want to see from our students. One such program is Teach Choose, or Time to Teach. However, more research needs to be conducted in order to better understand this behavior prevention program and its effectiveness. So while there might be plenty of research on PBIS, not so much on Time to Teach, which was the program being utilized at my school. So the background to the problem, maintaining a safe learning environment so that teachers can teach and students can learn free from interruption is critical to school success. In order to achieve that, many schools turned to a disciplinary philosophy known as zero tolerance in the 1990s. While this discipline policy was known for its use in drug enforcement, it became a term used widely in schools as a policy to provide more severe consequences for severe school disruptions. On its heels was the Gun-Free Schools Act of 1994 that brought that same zero tolerance philosophy for weapons in school, resulting in expulsion for the possession of firearms for a mandatory calendar year. And in some states, zero tolerance was expanded greatly beyond this federal law and in its intent to include drug and alcohol use, threats, fighting, and even failure to do homework. School zero tolerance behavior consequences received some heavy backlash from the media for its overuse and extension to what it may deem as not as serious events, like students making a play gun out of paper or a student bringing a plastic knife in their lunch to cut meat. While the zero tolerance policy was widely accepted as a no-nonsense approach to negative behaviors, there's little to no evidence that its policies have reduced student behavior or improved school safety. In addition, schools with higher suspension rates are linked to lower test scores. In addition, students of color have higher rates of suspension at 2 to 3 times their peers in the use of zero tolerance discipline philosophies. Due to the pressure of the 2001 No Child Left Behind Act, media and parents, many schools began to question the use of zero tolerance due to its lack of fairness and effectiveness, and instead began to turn to alternative methods to deter negative behavior, such as graduate discipline, using office referrals and suspension data, preventative and instructional strategies, and expanding available options to deter negative student behavior. Preventative and instructional strategies teach students alternatives to violence and disruption through strategies such as conflict resolution, school-wide bully prevention, drug and alcohol abuse programs, gang prevention strategies, or improved staff training and classroom behavior management. Prevention also includes addressing academic deficits that put students at risk not only for school failure, but for chronic behavior problems. This is where PBIS, Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports, comes in, along with programs such as Time to Teach. Both of these frameworks serve as a means to intervene and prevent negative behavior from happening in the first place, and avoiding severe consequences such as suspension monitored by schools, districts, state, and federal agencies. So the purpose of this research study is to explore the impact of Time to Teach program. The Time to Teach program behavior lesson plans for middle school students at a Central Valley Middle School. This study will examine teacher perception data of Teach Choose, a Time to Teach strategy in comparison to archived suspension data from previous school years. So the conceptual framework. While many have focused on behaviorism and classroom management, such as B.F. Skinner, there are those who argue against rewards, incentives, and punishments. By focusing on helping students to develop into moral people capable of acting of their own accord on behalf of others, rather than ensuring compliance, Cohn suggested with his student-directed learning theory that students are given the freedom and respect they crave, which leads to better prepared students for real life. This is a self-directed student model, including self-management, self-monitoring, self-modification, and self-motivation. So Cohn's framework was just this. His approach encourages students to stop blaming children for misbehavior and instead consider that children's behavior is a reflection of the lack of choice, autonomy, and interest in what they're supposed to be learning, or teachers' own inappropriate practices, including their need of control. By examining these programs today using Cohen's work as a foundation to our understanding of student behavior, as is the aim of this study, these programs can be analyzed in a way to determine their effectiveness in classrooms. So the need for the study. The data produced and accumulated will be shared with administrators at the school site and within the district. The information can be useful to determine where the program and its implementation can be improved to benefit the entire school, keeping more students in the classroom and supporting teachers with classroom management. So the overall questions, so question number 1, what are urban middle school teachers' perceptions of implementation of time to teach curriculum and its impact on student behavior? Our second research question, what are the factors that support and or impede this urban middle school's teachers' implementation of time to teach curriculum? And finally, question 3, for the research, is there a relationship between implementing time to teach curriculum and reduction in student suspensions overall, and by equity subgroups at an urban middle school as compared to prior to implementation? So some of the limitations include, try to get caught up where I was. The study was focused on one middle school in one district. Within the study, review the classroom management strategies from the time to teach curriculum from the eyes of one urban middle school and its teachers only. While there are 2 middle schools within the district, this study is specific to only one of those middle schools. Therefore, the data collected is a small sample compared to the whole district and others using this program. The findings produced are challenging to generalize due to the fact that this is a small sample of teachers at this small urban middle school. So let's go over the literature review. And this is, of course, where the bulk of the research has been, is done and the writing is done. And so it's a little lengthy. First, behavior prevention programs. The literature review is kind of broken into these 3 categories. Much debate in the literature and in the world of teachers and parents as to the most effective way of building children's social capacity is authoritarian or authoritative. One study reported on the authoritative approach where this teaching and learning paradigm is utilized. Based on choice theory, this approach maintains that social behaviors are not intuitive, but rather that children need to be intentionally taught and tutored in the performance of social behaviors. Creating and sustaining an authoritative paradigm for teaching children social behavior, this paradigm was influenced by the philosophy of Maria Montessori. Using Glasser's choice theory, a way of understanding why and how individuals behave the way they do, social behaviors need to be intentionally taught. Therefore, expected behaviors are taught in the location in which they're intended to be used. Often we see this with programs such as passport programs at schools where students are taken from one area to another to learn the expected behaviors in those areas. Explicitly teaching behavior takes the mystery out of behavior mastery by teaching expected behaviors and developing a shared understanding between adults and children regarding the meaning of the behaviors and the resulting consequences. Utilizing the small children acknowledged as natural learners, whereas adults are seen as leaders, designing and managing satisfying learning environments that include relevant and respectful instructional practices that empower children to develop their social capacity. PBIS is a proactive prevention program that focuses on promoting social emotional development, supporting the use of adaptive pro-social behaviors and prevents challenging behavior, and is utilized as a framework to many behavior programs throughout the United States. Like Glasser's choice theory, PBIS identifies and defines appropriate behavior expectations and teaches them systematically. PBIS uses a 3-tiered model that focuses on creating consistent, predictable, positive, and safe environments for our children. Expectations are the umbrella that represent character traits that we want to see children display, whereas rules are encompassed under the umbrella and represent specific examples for what those expectations look like across different school settings. Then we go to perceptions of educators. One qualitative analysis of middle and high school teacher perceptions of school-wide positive behavior supports found teacher concerns regarding staff support and consensus as the most prevalent needs related to collaboration. The results of their analysis found 9 themes in teacher concerns, including staff consensus, resources, philosophy, climate and stress, administrator support, change process, student behavior, student involvement, and parental involvement. Teachers worried about the program and worried that it wouldn't get the proper funding necessary, as is the case in the past, to continue its use for years to come, and the lack of serious professional development to foster the successful growth. Lastly, teachers indicated concerns regarding the lack of student and parental involvement in the implementation of the program, in particular in the defining of expectations and consequences. Hutchins et al. Found that school-wide PBIS implementation positively affected teacher perceptions of managing student conduct and school leadership. Schools who were at higher levels of school-wide PBIS implementation also promoted positive teacher perceptions of working conditions on managing student conduct, community support and involvement, and teacher leadership. In addition, Kentucky teachers found greater satisfaction with their teaching conditions, which is similar to the findings of others who found that school-wide implementation of PBIS affects teacher perceptions of organizational health. Teachers in Kentucky also indicate a higher satisfaction with school leadership at schools.
You have about 2 more minutes.
Oh, okay. I'll speed it up a little bit. Our third category was effectiveness of classroom management systems. We know effective learning and teaching cannot take place in poorly managed classrooms. The goal of 1 minute analysis study was to analyze the effects of various classroom management and classroom management programs, and they're aimed at improving students' behavior and enhancing their academic performance. Schools and teachers have become increasingly characterized by student-centered approaches to learning as opposed to student-centered, with a larger emphasis placed on metacognitive skills through the use of cooperative learning. Let's just speed this up a little bit. Some of the methodology, the participants were just again from one middle school and included voluntary teachers. The research site was a Central Valley Middle School. There was 2 data collection methods, a questionnaire, which was done through Google Form electronically, especially during COVID. And then the existing data was used as well from suspension rates. Within the study, we ended up finding our findings and conclusions were just this. Regarding question 1, teachers perceived time to teach as overall effective. They thought lessons taught, administration support, school-wide involvement, and consistency in procedures really empowered them. Students were impacted positively by time to teach programs implementation as it reduced in referrals. They also appreciated the students' opportunities to reflect on the classroom as it kept the classroom rather than using office disciplinary referrals. Regarding, these were some of the things that some of the participants had to say. It allows students time to correct their behavior before leaving the classroom and helps cut down on office referrals for minor behavior. On question 2, factors that support the middle school's implementation of time to teach curriculum are allowing students reflection opportunities within classrooms, school-wide consistent expectations in all classrooms, clear communication, quality professional development, and empowering teachers. Factors that impede this implementation: repeat student offenders not taking the program seriously, lack of communication and collaboration among staff, lack of consistency, lack of follow-up, and such. On the third question, administrative support is helpful to its effectiveness. Other teachers enforcing the rules and following the program is also helpful in its effectiveness. On to question 3, it appears that time to teach behavior curriculum is related to reducing student suspension overall by subgroup, as you can see in the table below. These are some of the recommendations that we came to as part of the applied component, and we included those on kind of like a bookmark, if you will, for administrators to use. And again, those recommendations are that teachers need the opportunity to further collaborate and time for lesson design to work and create consistency in school-wide expectations. Administrators should work together in order to deliver a consistent message for both teachers and students. Teachers need follow-up professional development. Both teachers and administrators need to create the time and opportunity to observe others and best practices of time to teach curriculum. And teachers want follow-up time to teach lessons with students throughout the school year. I apologize that I went a little bit over time, but I thank you so much for your time and interest. And of course, if you ever have any questions about time to teach or this project, please reach out to me.
Thank you, Krista. You are fine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, if you have any questions or comments for Crystal, please put them in the chat and then we can respond to them after both presenters have completed their presentations. So our next presenter I'd like to introduce is Ms. Laura Silva, and we have some feedback. Okay, there we go. Our next presenter is Ms. Laura Silva, and she will be presenting on the effects of differentiated professional learning for high school teachers of English learners. So thank you, Laura. You're on. Again, any questions, please write them in the chat.
All right, just to confirm, is my screen showing correctly? Yes?
You're good. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. So thank you again for coming and good afternoon. It is an honor to present here at the Fresno State Educational Leadership Virtual Research Symposium. And I just want to say thank you to Dr. Cecilia Mendoza, my project advisor, for inviting me today. Oops. So I'm Laura Silva. This is my 17th year in education. I currently serve at Washington Unified School District as an academic coach. And before this, I served in the classroom at Washington Union High School, teaching English, ELD, and a little bit of ag. I have a huge passion for building teacher capacity through professional learning, which is what sparked my master's project. And I believe that PL has the potential to ignite the change that we really need to see in education by improving the teacher experience, which we know impacts student outcomes. So today I'm going to share a few key pieces of my research project and some recommendations that I have for the field of education and administrators who would like to leverage professional learning in their site or district. So this study explores the relationship between professional learning and how teachers feel about their own ability to impact student outcomes. We all know the traditional PD, the one-day workshop where everyone's in the same room and there's a variety of experience in the room, from the 10-year teacher to the person who just started last week. And what's problematic about those settings is that teachers are not receiving a customized learning experience, and there's often an absence of follow-up when they return to their site in terms of support or even colleague collaboration that spurs the ongoing conversations that we really need to have to ensure quality implementation. Since I spent most of my time in the classroom serving English learners, as passionate as I am about teacher professional learning, I am equally passionate about the education that our English learners receive. The purpose of this study was to build teacher capacity through the PL that honors their knowledge and expertise. And I wondered, how might differentiated PL impact their self-efficacy in teaching English learners? The study is rooted in two theories, and applied to the context of teaching. Adult learning theory means that teachers are driven to solve problems in their own classrooms that matter to them and that are going to impact their students. And they come with existing experience and knowledge. We have to honor teacher experience in order for them to commit to new learning. In terms of self-efficacy theory, applied to teaching, this means that if educators don't believe that they can support students to increase their achievement, the teachers may resign themselves to the limitations of their own self-efficacy and therefore stop investing in their own professional development. Here's research question 1. Take a moment to read that. So you can see I was interested in determining the impact differentiated PL has on teachers. Here's question 1A. This question specifically explores how differentiated PL impacts self-efficacy in teaching English learners. And finally, question 2. So this question was designed to explore teacher perception, especially about how the differentiated PL honored their expertise and experiences in teaching English learners. A review of the relevant research related to this study helps us to understand what experts in education already know about professional learning. The research in how to improve professional learning in education dates back all the way to the 1980s with the seminal work of Joyce and Showers, who proposed job-embedded peer coaching as an essential component to improving the teacher experience. 40 years and a number of studies later, there are signs of a paradigm shift away from the one-day workshop and solely offering sit and get experiences. Research shows us that effective PL happens over time with support in community and includes deep reflection and feedback. Now let's talk about the students that were the focus of this PL experience for teachers in my study. The most recent California Department of Education data tells us that English learners make up nearly 19% of the total enrollment in California public schools, and they are the fastest growing student group in grades K-12. A look at the EL achievement data on California state assessments shows an equity gap, and the struggle to address this equity gap between English learners and their English proficient peers goes back over 4 decades. Gandra's findings offer a series of explanations for the underperformance of ELs, such as teachers may not have a deep understanding of the EL students' needs, or teachers don't feel equipped to meet those needs, as well as having limited access to instructional resources or support to meet the needs and to increase their efficacy. Calderon contends the inequity in EL achievement signals a corresponding gap in teachers and their knowledge and skills around quality instruction for English learners. The study was conducted at a rural high school in Central California with about 1,200 students, 23% of which are English learners. Participants came from the History and Social Science Department. Data was collected through pre and post study surveys, as well as post-study one-on-one interviews. Priority was given in the data analysis to the qualitative data, specifically looking for emergent themes in interview responses. And then I used quantitative data from the surveys to build on those findings. The project design for this study was a 5-module differentiated PL experience guided by essential questions at each stage of the learning. As the researcher, I designed the modules, and the first module is investigate and gather, with a guiding question of what do I need to know about supporting English learners? This module included a review of critical resources, documents, all related to supporting ELs, a look at the system of support in the district for English learners, as well as developing clarity around student performance data that's available. The second module is to bring it in and focus. The guiding question is, who are my English learners? What can I learn about them? So access to student performance data provides teachers with a more complete picture of their English learners by exploring their typology, their ELD proficiency level as indicated by EL scores on the LPAC, and on their CASP data in English and math. Teachers then selected 1 to 2 students. They focused on those students when they were designing their instruction after they had chosen to implement a strategy that they had learned in the professional learning. The third module is to explore and customize. The guiding questions were, what strategies will best support my students' needs? And how will I implement those strategies? This module is where the customization happens. It is the differentiated learning experience that honors teachers' experience and their expertise. It also allows them choice in pursuing growth that helps them to develop as an educator. So as the researcher, like I said, I designed the modules. I curated effective strategies that support language development across content areas. The curated resources were categorized into the focus areas of academic vocabulary, bridging schema, writing, and speaking. Teachers in the study opted to participate collaboratively as a department through one focus area. Academic vocabulary is the area they chose, and they participated individually in their own self-directed learning in one or two other areas of their choosing. So I designed and delivered the interactive PL sessions where teachers experienced academic vocabulary development strategies as a student. Then they put on their teacher hat. They debriefed the experience and discussed application in their own practice, and even collaborated to design instruction that was specific to their students' needs and also the learning and language objectives of the courses that they were teaching. When we weren't meeting as a group to learn together, teachers were exploring other strategies on their own and applying them to their instruction. So another way that teachers could customize their experience is to participate in the optional job embedded coaching. 2 participants opted in for this experience, and as the researcher, I also served as the coach. The teachers and I met 3 times, once prior to the lesson to plan for and design their instruction using the specific strategies that they had selected. Then I observed the lesson and collected the data the teacher had requested to inform their instruction going forward and based on their own professional growth goals. We met a 3rd time to debrief after the lesson delivery, where the teachers reflected on their practice and the implementation, and I offered specific instructional feedback and presented them with the data that I had collected. So following their learning, but at the same time, while they were considering application to their instruction, teachers were committing to a strategy and determining what kind of data would impact the implementation. And that process was pretty straightforward. They selected a strategy, they determined the success criteria that would indicate student learning, they implemented it, and then they collected data to measure the impact of their instruction. The last module, but definitely the one with the most value, was reflect and look ahead. The guiding question is, what are my next steps? What support am I going to need? So during this module, teachers developed an action plan. They identified next steps and the support they would need to be successful and grow as educators. And this included specific training needs that they identified that they would need to build their capacity to improve the instructional practice and therefore improve the educational experience for the English learners in their classes. The findings for how the differentiated PL impacted teachers related to research question 1 and the, 2 key elements were surfacing. So a sense of empathy for EL student perspectives, and then the urgency regarding shifts in their instructional practice that teachers felt they really needed to make. So with regards to empathy, participants reported feeling that they had a deep sense of empathy for the student experience, especially after having experienced learning through the instructional strategies from the role of a student. They also were prompted to ask their students for feedback on how they were experiencing their learning. And this was specific to both the online format that we are experiencing due to COVID, but also just knowing that as a learner, they had experienced struggles with some of the language development strategies, and they wanted to know how their students were receiving the instruction that they had designed. So one teacher shared this about that concept. So as you can see, her eyes were really opened and she was appreciative of that experience. In relation to the data that prompted them to see that they needed to make instructional shifts, teachers described specifically realizing that they needed to design their instruction with student needs in mind first, rather than starting with a predetermined curriculum pacing guide, often found in their curriculum. Shifts included integrating the academic vocabulary strategies that they had learned and used, as well as expanding oral language practice. One teacher described the experience like this. So in looking at the the impact that differentiated PL has on how teachers felt about their ability to serve English learners, an increase in self-awareness emerged in two areas: teacher capacity and self-efficacy. So there was an 83% increase in the self-reported scores of self-efficacy in the areas of teaching and working with English learners, which means that teachers were more aware that they felt better equipped to serve their students' needs. In their increased self-awareness about their own capacity to serve ELs, teachers discussed that training directly impacted their ability and they needed more. And they also felt that collaborating with each other led to a higher sense of responsibility. So one teacher shared this. So lastly, looking at teacher perceptions and how differentiating PL honored their experience, teachers had much to say. They all emphasized that the differentiation honored their experience and increased their collective teacher efficacy. So in considering my initial findings, here are some recommendations. I'd like to expand this research, replicate it on a larger scale, really look into the collective teacher efficacy that was brought up, because we know that's a powerful influence on student achievement. In terms of administrators, they can support this work by learning alongside their teachers, understanding challenges and successes that they're facing, and then support self-directed professional growth, and also provide relevant instructional feedback related to those professional growth goals. Knowing this, we need a system redesign. So differentiated PL is where it's at. High quality PL that meets teachers' needs is imperative to improving our student outcomes. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Thank you, Laura. That was really informative. Oftentimes we don't hear, from our middle school and our high school folks. So this is just really nice, a nice workshop. And also, Chrystle, very nice presentation that you provided us this afternoon. Do we have any questions for either of our participants?
I have a question for Laura. I'm very involved in this research with her. So what was your growth as a professional developer, if you will? How did you see yourself shift?
So what I realized is, I think in my self-efficacy, it was increased because I do know a few things. And so able to kind of curate an experience for my colleagues and have them tell me like, yeah, that worked. That was very helpful to me. But I also was able to see that the aha moments for my colleagues were not necessarily the same ahas that I would have had in experiencing learning. And so I was able to see that really customizing to what the teacher was trying to work on, or the area that they felt they really needed help in supporting their students, that allowed me to really serve their needs. And so I just am more deeply committed to the fact that our teachers cannot be subjected to going to a one-time workshop or the staff development room in the library where everybody goes and we all hear the same message, because everyone has just so many different needs, just like our students. And we ask teachers to differentiate. And so to create an equitable system for our teachers, we need to differentiate for them.
Good, thank you. I appreciate that. You're muted, Dr. Luna.
Thank you. Once again, I'd like to thank our presenters. It's not easy to do this. And so I really just we all appreciate the work you put into it, and your graphics really also told the story for us. So I hope you'll join us for the concluding ceremony and the raffle, of course.
Yes.
So you've got a couple of minutes. And so again, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate your time. Take care.
just a reminder that there's a survey, and you can find it in the link. So we would enjoy having your feedback.